country, and they often face haunting reminders from the battlefield. But for some, those images come from military hospitals.
Yeah, a veteran became a whistleblower after he said he witnessed misconduct and dangerous shortcomings at military facilities.
Tonight, Josie Sturman with our National Investigative Team looks at these claims and discovers some hospital service members' trust are causing concern.
It's not war stories from the battlefields of Afghanistan or nightmares about fallen soldiers in Iraq. Fire! The haunting images that keep this veteran up at night come from what he witnessed somewhere unexpected: military hospitals right here at home.
And you've seen cases, even if you didn't participate in them, where patients died as a result of misconduct or problems with providers?
Yes.
How do you react to that when it happens?
Disbelief at first, shock, surprise.
For decades, this Ivy League-educated surgeon turned whistleblower has witnessed dangerous shortcomings in military medicine, working in facilities across the country. We're concealing his identity because he's still considered active duty.
They achieve levels of absurdity, the things that happen in these military health centers, for lack of attention, lack of funding, lack of highly skilled personnel, the high turnover rate, lack of equipment, lack of adequate training, lack of adequate volume.
That last one, volume, our source says, is one of the military's biggest problems. It's an issue that puts patients nationwide at serious risk because research shows higher volume is tied to better surgical outcomes.
So in order to perform at a really high level, particularly in the surgical world, it's about volume, how many times you repeatedly do a certain case.
The military doesn't directly release information about volume, but we found it does voluntarily report some information to a nonprofit called Leapfrog that collects and reports hospital data we analyzed.
We found not a single hospital, none of the dozens of military facilities included in Leapfrog's data for the last 2 years, hit the established minimum volume standard for 7 of the 10 complex surgeries measured by Leapfrog and other recognized experts.
We're talking about everything from certain open heart surgeries to lung and pancreas procedures often used in cancer treatment. Only a handful of military hospitals report even doing these types of surgeries, and not in high numbers. Even with more common procedures like knee or hip replacements or bariatric weight loss surgeries, which are done by more military hospitals, still only a few hit the volume standard.
If you're very, very low volume, it's like you're on that really steep acceleration. Your risk of harm is very, very high.
Dr. Peter Pronovost with University Hospitals in Cleveland is one of the nation's leading healthcare quality experts. He says the stats on surgical volume raise alarms.
Working on a high-risk procedures, doing 1 or 2 a year is not going to get excellence.
But some of the most prestigious military hospitals across the nation are rarely doing certain high-risk complex procedures. The Leapfrog data we examined shows Walter Reed, considered the gold standard in military healthcare, has done just 15 open aortic heart surgeries since the start of 2023. The minimum standard is 10 per year. The facility has also done less than 20 lung resections in the last 3 years. To hit the standard, they'd have to do 6 times that many. We repeatedly contacted the DHA, 5 specific military hospitals, and even the Secretary of Defense himself. None would do interviews or answer questions sent by our team.
I think you're on a righteous path, and I think it's meritorious, and I think you should continue.
Josie Sturman reporting for us tonight. Now, the DHA and the individual hospitals reference the ongoing government shutdown as to why they're not answering our questions.